All right, we've all been there where you're working with a client, you're pulling out all your tricks, you're using all the tools you have, but your client's totally resistant and just getting in the way. Well, good news, I'm going to show you how to make these sessions, and in fact, all your sessions, so much easier. Welcome back to another video. My name is Matt Schmidt, and I guide people to heal themselves. In this video, I'm going to be taking you through 3 easy ways that you can release this resistance or reduce this resistance in your clients and really take your sessions to the next level. In my work, if I don't get past this initial resistance, good luck. It's not going to happen. The interesting thing is, this actually starts way before the session even begins. And I'm going to take you through how to make this as easy as possible. I like to make my job as easy as possible, so I incorporate all these things so that by the time we get to the actual session or the actual portion of the part where we're doing a lot of the work, it's so much easier. And this all starts even before you even meet the client. Right. The first way that I'm going to take you through to help you release resistance in your clients is through trust and rapport. I should point out that while this video is intended for healers, therapists, life coaches, this is also great for anyone in a leadership or supervisor role. And in fact, you can apply these same techniques to your personal and professional relationships. So the first one that I mentioned, trust and rapport. This is so critical. If people don't trust you, they're going to be closed off. They are not going to let you in. And good luck trying to change anything because they're going to have all their walls up. This is completely natural and this is expected. The people that I'm working with have been through a lot of trauma. They've been through a lot of stuff, and they're blocked off. So you have to be gentle. You have to build that trust. You have to build that rapport with people so that by the time you get into actual work, they're eating out of your hands and they can trust you. Right? For me, a lot of this starts before I even meet the person. And it's because I'm very active in the community. I'm making videos like this. I'm helping people in their own healing process. I'll take a call, I'll answer people's questions that they have. And by the time a person comes to actually work with me, they already feel like they know me. They have an understanding of who I am, what I'm about, who I am as a person, and they already have a level of trust that I didn't have before that. So when I would just meet them, they'd come in cold. They had no idea who I was. They have all these walls up because they've been injured in the past. They've been hurt in the past, and in order to work on that stuff, to get past those layers and to get past the things that are blocking them off, having that trust already established has been huge. Um, Not only has the information that I shared built that trust and rapport, they also start working on their stuff. They understand how the game works. They understand a little bit of kind of where I'm coming from and kind of how the system works, so that by the time they get to the actual work, it's not that big of a deal. By also being active in the community, I give talks at places so people hear me. They have an understanding of some of the stuff that I teach and some of the stuff that I've learned through the work. Also through like word of mouth. The more that you're out there, the more that people know who you are. Having someone vouch for me that the person already trusts is huge. I don't know how many times I've heard, well, I wasn't going to do this, but my friend told me about this, and I really trust her, so I knew that I had to do this. Okay, that is invaluable. Another thing underneath that to help you build this trust and rapport is being authentic. You really can't fake this. I don't know how to tell you how to do this. Be yourself. People can see through that. If you're out there like trying to make money at this job, people are going to pick up on that, even if you don't say that. So having the right intention, coming from your heart, being your authentic self, also coming from a place of non-judgment. So many people are worried about what you're going to think about them, how you're going to take what they're going to tell you. And if you can come from that place of not attaching judgment to anything. Even with your expressions or how you look, they can pick up on that. So, genuinely coming from a place of non judgment. I've done this work so much that it's really hard to have judgment. And someone could tell me that they killed a bunch of kids, and I'd be like, well, okay, well, what'd you learn? Like, really, it's so hard to have judgment doing this work, but because you can see the bigger perspective of how all these moving pieces tie in together, and it's real easy to take a step back from that and kind of let go of that judgment, and people are feeling more comfortable with you. They're more open, they're more honest with you. I don't know how many times I've heard a person say, I can't believe I'm telling you this. I've never told this to anyone. I know, go on. All right, so these things are subtle, and people, even if people don't know that they're, if they're following into you and are following along with you, they're doing it on an energetic level, and you can't really fake this stuff. So being your authentic self, not coming from that place of non-judgment, these are all huge. All right, and to further establish this trust and rapport, if I have someone that's really on edge, I'll look at their body language. I'll kind of read them, and I'll start working with them. I'll start getting them to agree with me on certain things, and kind of establishing this yes mindset where you're making them feel comfortable. You're giving them like lowball things that they can agree with, like, oh, it's very cold out today, isn't it? Oh yeah, yeah. And even that starts building that trust and rapport. You're already creating that. And you're bonding with them, and that builds from there. As you get into your work, whatever work you're doing with them, be encouraging. Be authentically encouraging. Even if you're like, oh my gosh, this is a train wreck, be encouraging them because they're going to follow you where you go. So be supportive, be encouraging. Even if they're struggling, oh, great. Like be supportive because maybe that's where they're supposed to be anyway. And it'll make sense later. But if they start shutting down, you're going to miss that opportunity, and you can have what was going to be a crappy session turn into an awesome session because you provided that safe passageway into what they needed to go to next. But if they're like, oh, I'm doing this wrong, and all that self-doubt creeps in, that just kills them. So be encouraging them, be their cheerleaders, and give them the support they need in that way to have some of these self-realizations and have these discoveries within themselves. Okay. Additionally, this trust and rapport is built even before the session. I'll talk to people, I'll contact them via email. So all this stuff happens all before the session. So by the time that they get to me, they're all warmed up, they're ready to rock and roll. All right, number 2, the second thing that you need to do to release resistance in your clients is by addressing their fears and concerns. This may seem kind of obvious, and the easiest way to do that, you're going to laugh, but just ask. You'd be surprised at what people tell you. And don't assume anything, ask them. Have you ever done anything like this before? Do you have any questions, any concerns, anything you're worried about? I've heard some pretty out there things that I never would have thought to address, but by asking them, we can address their concerns. Okay? Sometimes people don't actually tell you that they have any fears, like, oh, I'm fine, because they're really closed off, so they're not going to be open and honest with you. But this is kind of an art too. You have to kind of feel them out. Read their body language, see how they're sitting, see their posture. Maybe they're sitting on edge. Maybe they're kind of closed off to begin with. So kind of ease into it, feel them out, and you'll get some insights as you start working with them a little bit more and more. I like to address the common ones ahead of time. I get a lot of the same things over and over and over about, oh, what are you going to make me do? Or, all these different concerns and stuff that people have about the process that I take them through. So what I do is I address these ahead of time. I address these via email. When they first sign up for an appointment with me. I also have videos that explain some of these things so that by the time people get to me, a lot of those common fears are put to rest. I also when I do address a fear or concern, I make it not about them. I'll use examples. Okay. I had a person that was afraid they were going to die doing the work that we were doing. They said, well, what if I get stuck out there? What if I don't come back? Like, what? And they're like, well, I heard you can die doing this. Okay, well, and you still showed up? Are you nuts? So addressing that fear and putting that at rest, they were just at peace. I'm like, yeah, I've never had anyone die, and I kind of joke with them about Yeah, it sounds like a lot of explaining, or or even use an example. Have you ever had a dream and woke up the next day? Okay, you'll be fine. Once they realize that, they're like, oh, I can do this. And it's that confidence in themselves that really also lowers that resistance. I actually had someone in my house come and they brought a tarp to put down on the bed because they thought they were going to lose complete control of their body and everything. By addressing that, I made sure that that didn't happen at home, but they had heard somewhere that they're going to lose like complete control of their body and their mind, and so addressing this fear kind of put them at ease, and they still use the tarp, but they were more at ease, more calm, more at peace, and then we could actually do the work. Right? Another big one is having them let go of control. They've had their whole life to figure out some of this stuff. Now it's time to actually let go of that control. I tell them the key in the process is really just to allow, just like if you're going to go to sleep. If you're like trying to control how you sleep, when you sleep, it's not going to happen. But just allowing the process to unfold, and that starts loosening things up for them. They start loosening their grip. Okay. All right. Because it's me, I love humor, so I will use humor in my sessions because that shifts people so fast. You gotta kind of use your discernment with the jokes you use and stuff like that. But I love using humor, and I'm consider myself a humorous guy, so I use humor. And by the time we get to the actual session, there you can see their whole disposition change just by cracking a couple jokes. So kind of know what works for you. You know yourself. You know what your strong points are. Use those in your sessions. All right, number three. Three. All right, number three. The third way to reduce resistance in your clients is by meeting them where they're at. All right, so I'm going to explain this one. Um, don't force any of your beliefs on them. Your beliefs are going to create resistance. If you're trying to tell them, "Oh no, it's not like that," they're gonna throw up even more walls. You're gonna make your job a whole lot harder, and you're not gonna get the results that you really want for your client. Right? Um, I'll give you an example. I had someone recently. You may have to get creative. I had someone recently who had lost a child, and they told me they didn't believe that they can talk to their that soul. They didn't believe that they can talk to other beings. They didn't want to talk to any other energies. They didn't want to do any shamanic work. Didn't believe in past lives. They didn't believe in spirits. And I'm like, why did you come to me? Like, I was very baffled. But interestingly enough, I kind of reframed all this. Like, I did everything. I had to get creative. I had to get clever. But I worked with what I kind of this person out and what their beliefs were. And honestly, they did all of those things. All the things that they didn't believe in, they did in their own way. But if I would have been like, "Oh yes, you can do this, and you can do this," they wouldn't have got that. And they got all of that and more. Whoops. They got all of that and more out of the session because of me not trying to force them to think the way that I think or the way that I understand the world. Okay. So one of the ways that you can do this, I listen for keywords, key phrases, and I recycle those back to them using their language, using things that they can understand. That's going to be almost like a lock and key where stuff is just going to click for them in a special way that you saying it your way or the way that you understand it wouldn't have that same impact. So use that. Use wherever they are at. If they tell you that they believe Superman is their savior and he's gonna save them and heal them, freaking use that. Use Superman. All right. Whatever they're telling you, you can use that to your advantage. It doesn't have to be like, oh, I can't believe they don't think this or they don't think that. Doesn't matter. I've worked with atheists and nuns, and it doesn't matter. Everyone can get these effects. Everyone can get this healing, and it's going to be in their own way. And it's not for you to decide what that looks like. One of the ways that I kind of remove myself from the situation also and help to meet them where they're at is by using stories. Because if it's not about them, they're not going to be so resistant. If I was like, oh, you should do this, versus just giving them kind of a parable or another story or something, a story that will help them to start thinking about things in a different way. If it's not about them, if it's removed from them, it's so much easier for them to be like, oh, well, maybe that makes sense. and they're way more suggestible to that. Another thing you can do is what I like to do is rather than telling them things, I ask good questions. Oh, well, how do you think that ties in with what happened with your mom? Or, um, how do you think, yeah, how do you think that pertains to your life now? Why do you think that happened for you? That question can be kind of triggery, but it also gets them to start thinking. All right, so asking those good questions is way more powerful than telling them anything. Okay. All right. If you have any other things that you do to resist or reduce the resistance in your clients, I'd love to hear them. So if you could put them in the comments below, and if you have any other tips or anything else that any other videos that you'd like to see, I think we're all in this together. So the more that we can share, I love growing this community and helping people. So thank you all for all the people who have reached out and all the conversations I've had, all the messages. You've all inspired all these videos that keep coming. So keep them coming, and we'll see you on the next video.